When Milan's sporting director Iglitare was asked, were you left shocked after the result against Cremonese? He said, I was left traumatized. And he also reiterated that today, against Lecce, it must be a win. And that's what he got. Max Allegri picks up his first 3 points on his return to Milan, bringing him just 22 points away from third spot in Serie A's all-time points winners. But it wasn't just the 3 points. Milan managed to hold on to an important clean sheet. A clean sheet that both director and coach agreed was a key element to this team actually starting to develop some confidence. But did the scoreline from today's game truly justify the performance of Milan? That's what we're going to try and break down in today's 4 takeaways. You guys know how this works. Green boxes for good performances, red boxes for bad ones. Okay, before I dive into the 4 takeaways, I got a major announcement for the channel. So today's game, Lecce versus Milan, this is going to be the last game that I will be covering from Toronto. Moving forward for the coming months, kicking off with Milan Bologna on September 14th, I will be covering all games from Milan. So at this point in time, guys, I'm pretty much on a one-way ticket to Italy. The most important thing I want to do is thank you guys for bringing this channel to the level that I can go out there and pursue this dream. And I have one favor to ask of you guys. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. The next few months is going to be a crazy period where I'll be traveling all over Europe, watching the top games that are being played out there and creating content and videos for you guys. And the other thing that I do want to ask you is a massive favor. So it's very tough for me to efficiently go through all teams, upcoming fixtures that are like some big games happening throughout Europe. So I want to ask you guys if you can help me, and in the comment section, just put in the games that you'd actually want me to go and watch, want me to go and cover for you. Games like Barcelona against PSG, Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan. So any of the games that you see up until at least December, make sure to put it in the comment section. It can even be games from the Premier League or La Liga. As long as, dates wise, it's okay and it's logistically feasible, I'm gonna go watch it and cover it for you guys. It's a dream I'm about to live, and I want to make sure I take you guys for that journey. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at FootballKush, because the amount of content you're gonna see on that platform you've never seen on this channel. And once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let's kick things off with the first takeaway from today's match, and this one's gonna be a green box that goes out to Luka Modric. When this player was signed, essentially I had so many people in the comment section talking to me on Twitter, in the YouTube comments as well, that this player is not going to be playing that much. Don't be that excited. He's old. He's 40 years old now. Yes, it's true. He is old. He is going to turn 40 in no time. But there are a lot of people that were trying to, put this idea out there that he's not going to be playing that much. Maybe he'll play, 25, 30 minutes in a game. He'll come on in the second half. But as things have shown us, at least in the beginning 2 games of the season, 74 minutes against Cremonese, 95 minutes today against Lecce. And not just 95 minutes of existence. This guy was pressing and closing down crosses. I put it down here, man. 77 minutes and 40 seconds. This guy was hard pressing and closing down crosses coming from Lecce. He picked up a massive assist, his first one for Milan. I put this little video together from Marco's Instagram page, and this was one of my hot takes for the season. Luka Modric will equal or exceed the total amount of goal contributions, goals plus assists, than he has gotten in any of his La Liga seasons. So he has to beat the number 10. Well, quite honestly, it could have been 2 today. 2 out of 2 games. If only that first goal that was ruled out on Gabbia was, not ruled out, that was another assist for Modric. So from the very beginning of the game, in the 3rd minute, to Milan actually scoring the goal in around like the 66th minute till about the 80th minute when he's pressing and closing down Lecce, this player delivered at the age of 39. The amount of attacking chances that were created by Milan in the first half, most of them came because of Modric. And rightfully so, a lot of people were getting frustrated for him. There was one point in time where I saw the amount his shirt was sweating, and I'm like, man, we're torturing this 39-year-old man. The amount of work this team is making him do, and at this point in time, the scoreline was 0-0. Now, it can be a whole other debate as to, how this team is playing, that you need a 39-year-old to come and bail you out. And I don't disagree with that. I think that is a fair point. It should be the other guys that should be performing a lot better. Players like Yusuf Fofana, players like even Loftus-Cheek at points today. Modric should be more the director, just, making sure that everything is handled properly, not necessarily always have to be the one involved in the attack. But today, almost every moment of consequence came through Luka, and for that reason, reason, a deserved green box for him. And you guys let me know in the comment section, my hot take on Marco's Instagram page, do you think that's going to hit? And the first shout out from today's match, this one's going to be a shout out for Strahina Pavlovic. I think a key piece to mention in this is that it wasn't necessarily a perfect performance. He does not get a green box, but I think it was fairly decent. I think the kind of performance that he put in against Cremonese, I don't think he completely turned me around on his first performance, but I think he was a lot better today. In the first half, there were about 2 or 3 balls over the top. I think this was definitely a strategy that, you know, Allegri had, that Maignan would pass the ball to Pavlovic. Pavlovic would invite a little bit of the press, and then he would cross the ball over the top to either Estupinan or Santi Gimenez. And some of those attacks, they actually did kind of work. Nothing really came out of them, but it did open up their defense and, you know, gave Milan opportunities. The second thing that I kind of liked, I think it was a double-edged sword for me actually with Pavlovic today, was that there were multiple moments where he actually dropped into the midfield, playing as a center back. He'd drop into the midfield and halt a lot of their attacks, you know, from the midfield itself. He wouldn't allow them to get into the final third. And I think when you're playing a 3-man backline and you have players like Tomori, Gabbia, and Pavlovic playing together, a lot of the times you can allow Pavlovic to sort of drift into the midfield and stop an attack while you still have 2 center backs in Gabbia and Tomori, you know, covering that backline. I feel like a lot of the times Pavlovic did that effectively, but that's why I called it a double-edged sword, because there were moments where he actually found himself in the wrong position completely. I think there was an attack created around 42.5 minutes. Pavlovic was complete no man's lane. I don't know why he drifted way further towards the left flank, and he left that hole. Gabbia found himself in a confused position as to which man to cover, and if the ball had landed at the feet of the player, that would have been a certain goal for Lecce. And definitely the amount of, you know, attacking output that he offered, the amount of runs that he made, especially that one run. It was a 10 out of 10 run, man, around 74 minutes and 40 seconds. He moved up, you know, circumvented their midfield, went 1v1 against a center back, and he was able to kind of put him on skates and get some space, pass the ball out to Gimenez. If Gimenez had done a little bit better, that would have been a really good assist for Strahina. And the second takeaway from today's match, this one's also going to be a green box, and this one has to go out to Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Modric. Go ball in! Goal! Finally! And it's Ruben! So this was a goal he was desperately waiting for. When Allegri became the coach of Milan, there were a lot of fans at the conclusion of last season that were saying that Loftus-Cheek is a player Milan has to move on from. And when he came on, he said that, you know, a lot of reports suggested that he's going to be one of the more important pieces for Allegri in the team. And over the first 2 matches, we have seen that, you know, Allegri is sticking with him. He's giving him those chances. Now, in the first game, I think everybody performed horribly, and Loftus-Cheek was no different. I do think today Loftus-Cheek was better. The green box is pretty much because he scored a goal. I don't even know if he was worthy of the man of the match award. I think Modric was the man of the match for me, at least. But to me, I felt like at halftime, you know, even when I put this tweet out, I actually thought it was a decent game from Ruben. You know, somebody like Fofana was significantly more absent, but, you know, there were moments even early on, around 20.5 minutes, 20 minutes and 23 seconds, Lecce was coming on a good attacking opportunity, and the only reason they lost the ball was because of the pressure that Loftus-Cheek put on them. Otherwise, they had a good opportunity to create an attack. And then scoring that goal that he did, that's not an easy goal to score. It comes a lot because of his size, because of his height. That header with his back to goal, that was pure quality. And again, I think some of my feedback for today's game is also in contrast to what happened against Cremonese. We saw a pretty poor performance from Ruben then. I think today's performance was better. His goal opened up the game for Milan, gave them that confidence that they can, they can create something and pick up the 3 points today. And for that reason, I think it's worthy of a green box. And the first call out from today's match, this one's going to go out to Pervis Estupinan. Look, he had a better second half. You got to give him that. But whatever I've seen from him till now, it's not been good. I think for now, he does seem to be a bit of a weak link on this team. In fairness to the player, I know fans don't have a lot of patience because of what happened last season. So they want immediate outcomes from these players, and we have had a hole on the left flank with Theo Hernandez not putting his all. You could say that maybe Estupinan is putting his all, but it's not good enough. And if this is his all, we are actually probably in a bit of trouble. He's very prone to losing possession. I think Martino or someone tweeted this out, that he's also really prone to using his left foot, too dependent on it. Even the ball that he lost, there was an attacking chance created by them. It was in the first half, if I remember it right. there was a moment that he tried to pass the ball back to Pavlovic when there was, they were pressing on Estupinan, and in that sort of panic, he passed the ball back to Pavlovic with his right foot, and it went straight to a Lecce player. The ball sort of ping-ponged off of him, and then once again, a second time, he lost possession, and it went straight to the Lecce guy, and they went through arguably one of their best chances of the entire game to be able to score a goal. And it came because Estupinan seems really weak in being able to hold the ball, which is odd. He's played at Brighton. He's played in the Premier League, a league that has a fairly high tempo. There's a lot of running around. So for him to see him be so, he almost plays with the ball like a hot potato. He just wants to get rid of it too quickly, and most of the times the passes are going all over the place. Lost the ball too many times, and that left flank seems to be a weak link right now for Milan, for sure. Now, the third takeaway from today's match, this one's going to be a red box, and this one's going to have to go out to Santi Gimenez. I promise you guys, I'm not trying to be harsh on the guy, but if you really look at the amount of chances that he missed today, that's not good. It's easy to say because Milan won 2-0 that, okay, you know what, give him some time. He's, maybe low on confidence, which all things could be true. But if we had lost the game today, he got a lot of chances to be able to score a goal. In the first half, during injury time, 1v1 opportunity with the goalkeeper, and, he just put it wide. As somebody, I think on Twitter said that, during his days at Feyenoord, that would be an easy goal for him. And it's very likely that because he's going through that low confidence with Milan, he's just, pushing them wide. In the second half, 74 minutes, 40 seconds, that opportunity created by Straina Pavlovic, as I mentioned, going up, getting past defenders, putting Gimenez in a situation where he really only had to beat one defender. And if he'd maybe just picked his spot, didn't even need to beat the defender or the goalkeeper, he could have just put the ball in the back of the net. And he didn't. He was easily stopped. And in a moment where he's and these are just two moments. There were multiple more. Even though a goal that he scored, he found himself unfortunately in an offside position. And that happens, but he also found himself in a very good position in the first half where he also drifted offside. Most importantly, when there's already a debate if this player's even going to be here by the end of the transfer window. Shockingly, before the match even kicked off, Milan sporting director Iglitare came out and said that we're actually trying to push for this is a sporting director coming out and saying it. This is not Matteo Moretto or Fabrizio Romano. Sporting director comes out and says that we're actually trying to push for a swap deal between Artem Dovbyk of Roma and send Santi Gimenez to Roma. And he said that it's pretty much because of the change in formation and the change in the system that we feel like Gimenez doesn't really fit. And to say that, I put out a tweet and I said that I was happy with the sporting director being this transparent, but yes, right before kickoff when Gimenez is actually playing, maybe not the best time. That put an immense amount of pressure on the player. I don't know if there was some reverse psychology going on from the sporting director that if, we say it out loud, maybe it's going to make him want to score goals and prove us wrong. And he almost did that. And his teammates definitely put him in a lot of positions to be able to do that, but he didn't quite score that goal. It's a really tough one. And you do feel for Gimenez because he has good quality, but you also have to question if he does fit into this Milan system. If we are going to be playing this 3-5-2, who plays up top as the two? I almost, get the sense, and again, you guys are also ripping me again about my Pulisic comments. I don't mean this personally about Pulisic, guys. I'm just talking about the fact that the coach has come out and said that he wants to play Leao and build a team around Leao. So if you have a two-man front line, essentially, where would Pulisic doesn't really then fit on those two guys. It's gonna have to be Leao plus somebody, let's say like Artem Dovbyk. So where does that leave Pulisic? I don't know. We're gonna talk about Pulisic a little bit later. But the player that it does actually eliminate almost certainly before anybody else is Santi Gimenez. They want somebody who's an out-and-out center forward who just is a poacher and just has a knack of scoring goals. And the coach right now is not seeing that in Santi. And again, today, he didn't show that. In the match against Cremonese, he didn't show that. And since Milan is moving on from some of these pieces and trying to create this system, this new team under Massimiliano Allegri, they do have to go within the parameters of what Allegri wants. And if Allegri doesn't want Santi and he feels like his qualities don't match up to his system, then that change very likely has to be made. You guys let me know in the comment section, do you prefer Artem Dovbyk over Santi Gimenez. In the next shout out from today's match, it's going to be a shout out for Alexis Saelemaekers. All I want to say is the amount of freaking hustle this guy puts in. My second favorite player at the start of this decade for a reason, exactly for this reason that we see the amount of hustle, intensity, and work rate that this guy puts in. Now, sometimes he's like that Energizer bunny, right? That he's just going crazy. Sometimes he just has to slow down a little bit, watch what's happening, evaluate his options correctly, not always be in a rampage to just go through the door. But all my notes about Alexis today only talk about his hustle, the amount of work that he put in. He was putting pressure on the defensive end of the game. He wasn't just moving forward and back, he was also moving side to side. He was helping out all over the pitch. And don't forget, that goal that Loftus-Cheek scored, the assist that was provided by Modrić, that free kick was won by Alexis. To me, a solid performance from Saelemaekers. He probably would have gotten a green box today if I didn't want to give a red box to Santi and have a proper discussion about it. And one final call out before I jump into the final green box from today's video. That call out is going to go to Youssouf Fofana. First game against Cremonese, bad. More probably involved in Cremonese scoring that second goal. He was guilty of, not finding himself in the right position. Today, not those glaring mistakes, but just not that involved. I feel like he's kind of disappeared a bit. And with the kind of options that you have on the bench, especially a player like Samuel Ricci, I don't know why Allegri isn't playing Ricci over Fofana. Ricci also has experience playing in Serie A. This is not a player that has come from a different league. He has experience playing in this league. He's captained a Serie A side. This is a player that should be playing, in my opinion, ahead of Fofana. A lot of the defensive job, that's what frustrated me the most was, as I mentioned, Luka Modric, 77.5 minutes, closing down crosses, pressing players at that age. I didn't see Fofana do that enough. I thought Modric is going to be the director. He's going to help create attacking chances. And Fofana is going to be more of the enforcer doing the defensive work. I haven't really seen Fofana do that much on either end. And I think for me, moving forward, it would be reasonable to give Ricci those starts and keep Fofana on the bench and bring him on the second half. Which brings us to the final green box from today's match, the final takeaway, and this one goes out to Christian Pulisic. Oh, Christian Pulisic. Christian! There we go, boys. Finally, man. How many goals is this player going to score with his left foot? I already talked about this in the past about Pulisic. I think it was in his book that his dad and the group that essentially coached him as a young kid, they pushed him to do everything that he could do with his right foot and try and emulate that with his left foot. There was concerted effort made to make him into a whole player that could play with both feet. This is not necessarily just some innate skill that he has, like I think players like Shevchenko had, to just be able to score with their left foot, even though their right foot was a dominant one. No, this guy's actually worked on this. And not just that, as always, in every video I talk about Pulisic, I talk about his defensive work. Today, again, 82 minutes, solid block. There was an attack coming from Lecce's right flank, Milan's left flank. And the way that player was sort of moving in, the way that Pulisic cut off that passing lane, I didn't even see a player like Estupinan do that in defense. A player like him with this ankle issue, we need this to be recovered because he's a key player for this team. That second goal, it gave Milan so much calmness and just this relief, because even on a 1-0 scoreline, seeing the kind of form this team has had from last season, seeing the way that the Cremonese game, unfolded, that 1-0 scoreline felt a little bit thin. And for Pulisic to come in, find himself in that position, have Mike Maignan, by the way, make that solid pass, a cross all the way from the back, that I think Gimenez's position was also really good. If you watch how he sort of closed off their defender and the ball bounced right in front of Gimenez, rainbowed over those two guys and fell to Pulisic. We do have to give credit to Gimenez for helping out there, but Pulisic still had a lot of work left to do, drove the ball in, used his left foot, scored the goal, and gave Milan that 2-0 comfortable lead. And there you have it, Milanisti. Those are the 4 takeaways from today's match. First 3 points for Allegri back at Milan. A match, as Iglitari said, has to be a win. Fortunately turned out to be a win. It still wasn't the most perfect performance, but it definitely was a step up against the Cremonese game, and the fact that Milan was playing away and was missing some important players like Pulisic to start off, and Rafael Leao obviously on the bench as well. I think it was a decent performance and a decent result. Once again, I want to thank you guys for the support to this channel. I'll see you guys, well, after the next takeaways video from the San Siro, really, after Milan Bologna. Once again, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comment section again which games pretty much from September to December for now you want me to cover from really anywhere in Europe. And as always from my side, Forza Milan, grazie mille, ciao tutti. It's his style of play and the scandals. Oh, the scandals, including a bizarre locker room incident where a player essentially drugged his own teammates. And we'll look at how lowering Serie A from 20 teams to 18 teams might be the